On today's episode of Bolts and Hose podcast, we have a very special guest by the name of Thomas Gunther from GMI Group in Gulf Manufacturing. We also have our weekly show and tell where we highlight the special parts of the week. And to round out the show, we have the mailbag featuring some comments and questions from our esteemed bolters and hosers. You can find all that and more on this week's episode of Bolts and Hose podcast.
Bolts and hose, bolts and hose. I gotta have me my bolts and hose. Bolts and hose, bolts and hose. I gotta have me my...
We got a special guest here today. His name is Thomas Gunther with GMI Group here in Humble. Thomas, welcome.
Thank you. Pleasure.
Appreciate you coming by and being with us today.
It's a pleasure.
So maybe you could tell us a little bit about GMI. You're based here in Humble, right?
We are. GMI takes forgings and makes them into finished part, which are mostly flanges, fittings, bleed rings, spec blinds, paddle blinds, anything that's a plumbing supply for the oil and gas industry that can handle oil and explosive gases.
Any alloy, right?
Yes.
Yeah. So domestic manufacturing?
Yes, we are domestic manufacturing. Everything that ships from us has a GMI logo on it, meaning we manufacture it here in either Humble or Bryce, Louisiana.
Yeah, that's really refreshing, because when you look at the commodities that both your company and our company handle with bolting and also with flanges and fittings and that sort of thing, there's so much of that product that's heavily imported and so much of it was offshored several decades ago. So I think there's a lot of market potential out there for our product. That's still a real heavy demand for locally sourced product and locally manufactured.
We do see a lot of no China, no India, or no import. Our customers also prefer domestic manufactured. We do have a few that require melt and manufacture domestic, which of course is more expensive, significantly more expensive. But for the most part, we try to stay away from import.
Awesome. So you guys stock the raw material here at your shop? And
we buy forgings from folks like AF Global, Voltex, anybody that can beat a shape or a contour forging to shape. And we do buy some abroad that we will also manufacture and make changes to, and we'll also call that manufactured domestic. That means that they would get a Gulf Manufacturing MTR. They'll have the mill on there, but it will say manufactured USA at the bottom of
Sure.
the MTR.
Yep.
If it is a USA mill like AF Global, it will say melt and manufacture USA.
And so you guys can turn stuff around pretty quick having that raw material on hand.
That is our bread and butter.
Yeah.
We love us some expedites.
Sure. I think
We
we
are
all
all
do.
about that. If they're willing to pay for it, we are willing to do it. And that's kind of what separates us from the competition.
Sure.
Our service, if we say we're going to do something, we do it.
Yep.
If it's on a PO, that's the contract. We make sure that it's right.
Yep.
And if they want it in a specific lead time and don't mind paying for it, we make it happen.
Sure.
Yeah, that's very, very similar to our business.
Yeah.
Everything seems to be hot, rush. And, we basically built a business around that. So I know there's demand out there for it. And your commodity is very similar to ours.
Yeah, I mean, we basically sell the same bread and butter. Like I said before, with the fastener companies, they're plentiful. What will separate you apart and make you more profitable is all these expedites.
Very true. Yep.
Absolutely.
If you've got service to sell, you'll be profitable.
Yeah,
in this
you'll be
business.
good.
No doubt.
So what's a lot of your business? Is it upstream, downstream, midstream?
95% of ours is upstream.
Upstream.
And when I say that, like when you talk about pressure ratings of flanges, and I don't mean to sound foreign to anybody, so the pressure rating in your home for your water is usually about 10 psi.
Sure.
So the pressure rating for oil and gas is usually 150 pound to 20,000 pounds of pressure.
Sure.
So what we sell is basically American Petroleum Institute flanges, and those are suitable for 5 to 20,000 pounds of pressure.
Got it.
But that is all upstream in API flanges.
Sure.
A lot of natural gas in that.
Yeah. Moving on to West Texas.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If we're talking about 150 pound, 300 pound flanges, a lot of that is midstream type products, refinery type products.
Sure. What are some of the obstacles you guys are having these days? Any material issues or?
So we're coming out of the COVID period pretty well.
Yeah.
I mean, it was a great year last year. It is projected to be an even better year this year.
Yeah.
Some of the obstacles that we had and have kind of straggling are employee retention.
Sure.
Here in our Humble branch, we've done pretty well. For a while there during the COVID period, it was an endless parade of garbage.
Yeah.
But we've come through that. In our Broussard branch, we're struggling to find employees. The competition out there is I mean, sometimes you're competing with people that provide free health insurance.
Sure.
Yeah, that's a tough market over there.
Yeah.
For
So-
sure. We've got a hose facility over there.
Yeah, we have started we boosted everybody's, rate over there.
Yeah.
We did the same in Broussard. And it's, in these times right now, if you need a job, you can find a job. It's just a matter of finding people that want to work.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's the key, right? Sure. Is material an issue for you at all?
It was.
Yeah.
We came through that pretty good.
Yeah.
I mean, but yeah, it's spotty where you normally have maybe 1 or 2 gaps in your inventory. You have more than that now.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just navigating that and trying to keep your A products in stock for your A customers.
Yep. Absolutely.
So I see you've got a Cowboy shirt on, Thomas.
That is right. They are America's team.
Yes, I agree. In our facility, I think I'm the only one, and I receive a lot of hate every day.
I feel the same way over there.
As you should. Let's make it
I
clear.
am unapologetically Cowboys fan, so I just grew up that way. I grew up a little closer to Dallas than Houston, so I moved down here, so I was born into it.
You know who doesn't root for the Cowboys?
Who's that?
Kim Jong-un and Vladimir Putin. I mean, you want to have something in common with them, pull for somebody else.
I've never looked at it that way, but that's a
That
very
hurts.
good point. Yes.
I can't even come back to that one.
Yeah. When you don't pull for the Cowboys, the terrorists win.
Oh, love it. I love
Ouch.
it. Yeah, I'm going to start
Ouch.
using that line. That's great. I've never thought about that angle. I love it. So, hey.
Yeah, Thomas, thanks for joining us. I mean, I think that was a cool conversation we had.
Yeah, we appreciate your time. I think that's you guys are very near to us over here, and I think our commodities are very similar, although they're very different. We probably sell to a lot of the same markets and a lot of the same customers.
Yep.
So, we appreciate you being on the show.
I appreciate y'all inviting me.
Great.
All right.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, Thomas.
Good seeing you.
All right, guys. So for the next segment, we've got some cool parts that Bryce has walked around the shop and picked up. So he's got some really cool, interesting parts here. But before we do that, let's talk a little bit about the beer we're drinking here at Ingenious.
Here.
IPA. You can probably see how cloudy that is. That's Splat IPA, I think is what it's called.
It is cloudy.
Very good stuff. I highly recommend this one. This is fantastic.
The tried and true Mosaic Pilsner. It's a go-to here, man. My favorite all time.
Mosaic, very light and refreshing. So
Friday during the day, I mean,
doesn't get any better.
it does not get any better than Mosaic.
So to start out, we got some really cool parts here, Bryce. This is awesome. So this one really catches my eye. That is a fantastic looking part. So how in the world did you make that thing?
You know, this was made out of big, heavy round bar, and it was kind of funny too because they machined this into a ball. They started out with round bar, machined this into a ball.
So the diameter of this has to be the thickest part of this has to be the diameter of round bar.
Yeah, and then our funny, goofy machinist drew a picture of my face on the ball because it's a bald head.
I think I have that picture. I think I may throw that in there.
You should,
I'll do that.
absolutely. They're jokers out in the shop. But yeah, so machine from round bar, difficult part to make. I mean, obviously a ton of turning, milling, I mean, the whole nine.
I don't think when we make stuff like that or people ask for it, they think it's a simple thing, but that is, you're right. There's so much labor and so much waste of material involved in that, but it's the only way to do it without forging. You know,
Right.
If you forge it, you can upset the head, you can shape the basic shape and then finish it out.
Yep.
But on doing it like this, it's a quick way to do it, but it takes a lot of labor.
Yeah, so someone, the need was urgent for this, and that's why we ended up doing it from round bar like we did. So, I mean, you could just imagine, you've got a piece of bar coming down, and just removing all that metal, drilling a hole, it's a lot of work.
But a beautiful part.
Yeah,
I mean,
very sexy parts.
You really have to have some specialized equipment, CNCs, mills, just as drilling. I mean, it's a pretty complex process to make those.
So parts are already shipped out. This was actually an extra piece that I just grabbed out of the shop.
How many pieces was that order? 24?
something like that. I don't remember the exact quantity, but it was a lot, a lot of work for sure. So
what material? 4140 B7?
4140 B7 heat treated. Yep, for sure.
Very good looking part.
Massive.
Yeah.
Good one.
Next one. Let's pick up this one.
Okay, that's a cool part.
This is a gasket. This is not a bolt.
It is a gasket. So our friends at Patriot Sealing Technologies cut some ODIDs out of carbon steel plate, and we had a customer bring us a sample and they said, hey, I need this. And so it has a flat side here and it has a radius on this side. And really all they needed was an ODID with that radius. So they laser cut the carbon steel plate it's sealing, brought us the parts, we threw it up on a lathe, and then machined the face, machined the radius, and it was all done on a quick, less than a day turnaround. There was, I think it was 4 parts on these that we did. We did it twice actually because they needed an extra set, so 8 parts.
Yeah, even though we're a bolt company over here, we have a lot of CNC and turning equipment, so we do actually make a lot of gaskets. So machined ring, solid metal gaskets, any shape, any configuration. It's we've got a lot of capability, a lot of versatility.
Cam profile, ring joints. I mean, there's just a lot of cool things that we can do in our shop.
Yeah.
So, neat part.
Next one, this is probably one of my favorites. We've made this order a few times, and this looks like a standard socket head cap screw with a hex head and a small threaded end. However, when you flip this over and look down the end, this is drilled all the way through, right?
Yes, it is drilled all the way through.
You could use this as a straw in your beer, actually, Brian.
Yeah, it's probably not a good idea. I don't know if they cleaned out all the fluid out of here.
Okay, fair enough.
I'm gonna leave that one alone. So yeah, just a cool part. It's 304 strain hardened class 2 material, so B8 SH is laser etched on the head.
That's a pretty exotic material. So that's a high tensile strength, high yield strength stainless steel.
Yep, exactly. And this was another part that this was a good quantity. I think this was close to 100 pieces. Standard lead time though, so we got it out in about 3 weeks. And just another cool, crazy part that was manufactured from Round Bar, sourced domestically. This is all domestic melt, and then domestic manufactured here in Humboldt, Texas. So some cool parts made in our shop this week.
All right, thanks, Bryce. We appreciate it, my man.
Anytime. Thank you, Kris.
Okay, I think the next section we've got is the mailbag.
Mailbag!
So I think we've got to get Paul Salinas on the line, our marketing guy. He's going to go through the mailbag, give us some impromptu questions.
Yeah.
And we'll see how we do.
Perfect.
So it should be very entertaining.
Sounds good.
All right, we'll be right back. Okay, we're back, and we've dialed in Paul Salinas. And Paul, where are you right now?
I'm working.
What did you just say, Paul?
I said I'm working. Yeah.
Working where?
Look.
It doesn't look like work.
If you see the pool,
you're supposed to be an ingenious, brother.
Look, this is kind of ingenious, to be honest with you. The fact that I'm next to a pool, and that's just a minor detail. Don't let that bother you guys. Come on, we got a podcast to run.
So the most important thing, do you have the mailbag, Paul?
You know what? Thanks to our loyal listeners, I do have a mailbag, and we actually got some legit questions this time, and I can't wait to share them with you guys. You guys ready?
We can't wait.
Mailbag.
Again, just as a disclaimer, this is completely impromptu. We have no idea,
no clue
what the questions are, right? So, Paul, we are at your mercy, my friend.
All right, guys.
I'm always nervous when you come on with the mailbag, Paul.
And I just put my glasses on, so get ready.
Uh-oh, now it's real.
All right, guys. Actually, I have to say that it's been fantastic from all the responses we've gotten. You know, Mr. International, we're like becoming Mr. Worldwide.
Mr. Worldwide.
Awesome. Yeah, Mr. Worldwide. It's actually it's becoming awesome. But we actually have a question from a true fan, a believer, and I'd like to do a shout out to him. He's actually known as the guy. I'll leave it at that for now. But okay. He's got a legit question, and here it goes. All right, so either one of you guys chime in. When is a bolt a stud, and or when is a stud a bolt? Second part. And what's the difference between a shoulder and a shank? So, and it actually has a third part. Which one of you is most likely to be given the shoulder, and which one of you is most likely to be given them the shank, to give the shank? So,
okay, let me take the first part, Bryce. Let me take the first part. So, okay, so the difference between a stud and a bolt, I think that's a good question. And from a technical standpoint, I think, and I'm not completely sure on this, but I think a stud is going to be a bolt that's not headed. So
a headless bolt.
Yeah, it's going to be
correct.
Threaded all the way from end to end.
But they call it a stud bolt.
That's going to be a stud.
Right? A stud bolt.
That's true. But I think a bolt can be a stud, but a stud can't be a bolt.
Correct.
Okay.
A stud bolt is an unheaded, a headless bolt. A bolt by itself is a headed part.
Yeah. I mean, this is a podcast episode all in itself. I mean, we could probably go on and on.
We could. But really, it's in the eyes of the beholder to the guy.
Okay.
It just depends on who's calling out what. So I think you just have to be specific.
Yeah. And then a bolt is, I think, technically going to be, or generically referred to as something that has a head. So with
a hex bolt.
A hex bolt,
yes.
Socket head cap screw could
but
be.
That's not really a bolt.
Bolt.
It's not really a bolt. Socket bolt. No one calls it a socket.
So let's throw in screw here. What's the difference between a screw and a bolt?
A screw has a point.
Okay.
That's not really that true.
Okay.
Yeah, we can talk about all that later. But a stud bolt, headless. A bolt.
Okay.
All right, I'll go with that.
We'll go with that, and I'm probably more confused than before we began, but that's fantastic.
That's what we're here for.
All right, the second part was
the second part.
What's the difference? Shank.
Yeah,
so I think it's pretty much the same thing. Again, it's in the eye of the beholder. A shoulder, a shank is an unthreaded portion on a headed bolt.
Yeah.
There could be a variety of dimensions there, but
I believe that a shoulder is going to be more used for alignment. It's going to be either larger than the major diameter of the thread, so it's going to be used for alignment in an application. And then the shank is going to be something that's the unthreaded part of the bolt, so just below the head.
So is that what your shoulders are for?
I think so, yeah.
Okay.
Okay, and the third part of that was which one of you is most likely to give someone the shoulder, and which one is more likely to give them the shank?
This is an easy one, I think.
I'm the shoulder.
He's definitely the shoulder.
Yep.
I'm getting shanked.
Yeah.
All right.
Bryce is the king of shank. The shank.
Well, that is awesome, guys, and thanks again, the guy.
To the guy. Shout out to the guy.
Yeah, shout out to the guy. Definitely appreciate this, and for all you guys out there, you guys can send in your questions to sales@patriotbolt.com, and we love and take all questions. So here's an interesting question, and it comes from Salty Rocks and Cheese. Okay. It says, it's actually a great question too. It says, what has been your guys' favorite industry convention you've attended and why?
Industry convention?
Convention. I mean,
invention.
Convention.
No, convention, like a show.
Yeah, like
I know we're heading up. Right, like we're heading up to Vegas.
Yeah, I think Vegas
September.
is awesome. I think for us, Vegas.
I hate Vegas. I think it's the worst trip ever.
That's not true, Bryce.
That's not what I heard.
Backyard.
That's not what I heard.
Vegas is fun.
They know him by first name. When we get off the plane, they have a red carpet strictly for Bryce. Yeah.
They've got rules strictly for Bryce, and it's called to wear your shirt.
I'm not going to mention names, but we had a good customer out to dinner in Vegas that took off his shirt at a nice steak dinner.
Yeah, we took him to a nice steak dinner, and there were some bets that were made, and he, I think we dared him into it.
We did. It was our fault.
His shirt off in the middle of this nice steak restaurant, and we almost got kicked out.
Yeah.
Yep.
We had to throw some dollar bills around to keep the waiters happy.
So, I mean, other than that, there are other benefits for Vegas. I think it's always got good attendance from distributors, users, manufacturers. And for us, I think that's probably one of the premier venues for us to attend and show our product and that sort of thing. So it's a good show for us.
And shout out to my boy Roger. Heat Exchanger World was a really good show too here in Pasadena.
That's very true.
That's another good one.
Yeah, Heat Exchanger World. That's good.
I know Valve World is coming up too, so that's another good one. We don't exhibit that one, but it is another good show that we walk and. Yeah. But Heat Exchanger show.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Very nice.
But we will be in the Vegas show this year, correct?
Yes.
We will be in Vegas.
Yeah, we've got a
Okay.
spot reserved this year, and we've got some big plans. Hopefully, we can do some
Big
cool
plans.
special things, and
Big player.
I'm sure it involves alcohol and
Gambling.
Some fun.
games.
Yeah.
Yes.
Some fun.
Yes.
All right, guys. Awesome. Okay, last question. Let's see. This comes from Weeby Nuts 18. And Weeby Nuts says, if nuts and bolts could talk, what would their favorite pickup line be?
Favorite pickup line for nuts and bolts.
I'm drawing a blank on this one.
I think you could probably ask them, if your preference is a stud or a shank, or the shoulder or the shank. I think that would probably win some hearts over.
Would you thread your?
Ooh, nice.
I don't know. Maybe.
That's the beer talking.
Can your head be?
All right, that's the beer talking. All right, guys. So listen, we're going to wrap this segment up.
This is going to be edited out.
We're going to wrap this segment up. I think it's fantastic. To all you fans of the Bolts and Hose podcast, continue to send in your questions. We love support. Like the video, thumbs up, subscribe to our channel. You know what to do. Just give us some love. Guys, back to you.
Thank you, Paul. Paul, that's Paul Salinas on location in Athens, Greece.
Get back to
That's
work,
right.
Paul.
So, yeah.
I'm doing something. Believe me, underground.
See you, brother.
Boats and hoes, boats and hoes. I gotta have me my boats and hoes. Boats and hoes, boats and hoes. I gotta have me